What up though, y'all? Back with our weekly anime video. So today I wanted to go over and talk about Sandland, do a quick little breakdown about the first season that's come out so far. All episodes are out, all 10. It's on Hulu and it's also streaming on Disney Plus if you have the Hulu package with that. So I guess the news release that had came out saying it was going to Disney Plus was a roundabout truth, because it's actually premiering through Hulu, and then since Hulu and Disney Plus are essentially one now, you can get to it from Disney Plus if you have that package. But since I'm doing a full series season type breakdown, I want to continue doing these for other shows and whatnot. So I wanted to start this off by giving it a rating and breaking down why I gave it that before I start to break it down. So I would say, this being PG, there's a little cussing, but we're not gonna see no blood. We're not gonna see anybody be killed, at least directly. But I'll give it a solid 8.5. The storyline's great, characters are great. Just overall, it's great. The only reason why I didn't give it a 9 is because I'm not the biggest fan of the 3D art. But the reason why I didn't give it lower than an 8.5, since I'm not a fan, is because it looks really good for being 3D art. Usually 3D art's a little wonky, it just kind of looks weird, comes off weird, but you could tell it was big budget for this. So it came out very good, especially for being 3D art. Just a couple characters, a couple things that might be a little but for the most part, super clean, fluid, all that good stuff. So solid 8.5 for the first season. I definitely am excited for season 2. But before we get into that, so there's 2 arcs in this season. The first arc being the story of the Fiend Prince, and the Fiend Prince being Beelzebub. He's the son of Lord Lucifer. I always want to say Satan, but Lord Lucifer, he has a striking resemblance to Deborah from Dragon Ball. Either he is Deborah, who is also the King of Demons in Dragon Ball, or this is just Akira recycling characters and stuff through his work. Who knows? But I would say it is Deborah, just because I want to see some type of, I'm gonna see them come together, Saiyan Land and Dragon Ball. That would be amazing, especially after watching this anime. But so the story of the Fiend Prince. So the show starts off with the sheriff going into his town store. There's no water. Talking about a drought, how nobody has water, and a commercial comes on. It's the king saying, "Oh, there's a sale on the king's water." He knocks off like a little chunk of change, but I guess it's like super expensive in this world for this water. The sheriff here's a story about this demon that gave this little boy some water, and then at one point he sees this bird flying in, and he knows this bird only feeds on freshwater fish. So he has this inkling that there's a water source somewhere south. He then goes to where the demons are. He brings up how one of the demons gave water to a kid, so he knows they're not all bad, as people would like to make them be, or talk about them being. So he teams up with Beelzebub and this other demon thief. He seems kind of like Beelzebub's handler in a way, but I'm sure the prince would not say he has a handler. But so these 3 go on a mission to find this water source. Sheriff makes a deal with them saying they can have access, they all can have access, everyone can have access. if they help him out. So he also bribes them with some game systems because he is a kid. Comes out that he's like 2,500 years old, but he's still a kid. So Sheriff makes a funny joke like, well, I guess I'm still a baby. Damn near newborn type of thing. I had that newborn thing, but yeah, so that was funny. They're moving south. Obviously, they come across roadblocks. They gotta fight. Sheriff sees how strong and how much that Beelzebub can fight, and then he just sees them whoop just regular dudes. It gets to the point where Beelzebub actually uses his true like demon type dark powers, and he sees a whole other elevation of what Beelzebub is capable of. So that was cool to see, kind of like the levels of strength from the demons, or well, at least Beelzebub. Obviously, more south they go, they encounter more King's armies, people. They steal a tank to travel further south. They come across these other guys called the Swimmers, and this encounter leads Beelzebub to come across a water source. He's like, oh, this must be what he's talking about. But then he sees that the Peachy tribe is there. And the Peachy tribe is a tribe that was thought to be wiped out from the sheriff, actually. His name is Rao. He was a legendary commander in the war that led to the extinction of this tribe. The King's army told him that he had to destroy these people because they were using this power source called Aquanium to create a weapon of mass destruction. So he thought he was doing it for all the good reasons. This blow up killed his wife. It killed a whole bunch of people. It essentially wiped out a good amount of the Sandland. This is what this country, I would call it, is known as the Sandland. That's the title for them. And due to him making this call, a lot of people were wiped out. So when they came across these people, they were like, okay, we're just gonna leave them here at this water source. This obviously isn't the King's army water source. So now that I mentioned this Peachy tribe situation, I want to say a little before this, Thief. So Sheriff tells Thief, oh, I was in the war. I made this call, weapon of master, blah, 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 blah. But Thief corrects him and says, oh, no, the Peachy tribe wasn't making a weapon of mass destruction. Like, they were creating something that creates water with this Aquanium power source. It wasn't, they were trying to be bad and kill everybody or have this crazy power to do whatever negatively with. So Rao decides he wants to pretty much go at the King's army, take them down, take their water source, and get things straight for the Sandland. So when Beelzebub came across this other water source with the Peachy tribe, he essentially left them alone, told Rao about it, and already knew Rao wouldn't want to use that as the water source. So they keep going south. Obviously, they eventually end up at the King's army spot where they have this water source, and they built a dam to block off the river flow. So the drought, there was a river that goes through the Sandland, but there was a drought. So they realized, oh, there was no drought. They just built this dam, keep the water, blah, 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 this, and that. Obviously, they fight King's army and these three, Thief, Beelzebub, and Rao. They have a fight, blah, blah, blah. If you've ever seen any movie or show that doesn't have a bad ending or anything like that, you know that the good guys came out on top. So they shot the dam down, water for the Sandland, this, and that. They took out kind of like the main leader of the king's army. They put this other guy who had lost his dad in the Great War due to that explosion from Rao. He stepped up to lead the king's army and whatnot. He's a good dude. They just want what's best for Sandland, this, and that. So that's the end of arc 1, and that is episode 6, I believe. So episode 7 starts. Peace in the Sandland, blah blah, this and that. The sheriff goes to where the demons are again, asks Thief and Beelzebub if they want to go to the market to go get some goods for the Peachy clan, or the Peachy tribe, I should say. And while they're doing that, Beelzebub kind of is walking around on his own, and he comes across this angel. So the title of this second arc is called The Story of the Angel Hero. And obviously this is that angel hero. So he comes across this angel. They go back and forth, obviously demons and angels, butt heads, whatnot, calling each other name, or the angels calling the demon names. And Beelzebub's like, yo, like what? Like, you're not just gonna be disrespectful. So they start to fight. At one point in the fight, Beelzebub's get the best of them. And Muniel, the name of this angel, he has this urn and has like this eye in the middle. And then it, so he says, oh, I'm not gonna waste this on you. Whatever that means, and essentially just dips out. He had found that urn and then just left. That was the point of Muniel going to Sandland for that urn, I guess. He was looking for that in the market. Took it, bounced out. Beelzebub comes back all mad, like, oh, the stupid angel, this and that. They go about their day. They go to the Peachy tribe, give them the goods that they got. Then in exchange, the Peachy tribe gives Sheriff this gun that essentially stuns people, doesn't harm them or anything. And then they give Beelzebub this kind of like a Pez dispenser thing, which allows him to float for 10 seconds. So who knows if we'll actually see that again, or if that was just like something funny they threw in there. But who knows? Maybe they'll need 10 seconds of floating or something. So, I guess I forgot to say too, at the end of episode 6, before this new arc starts, we see this dread-headed person riding a bike, and it kind of cuts. So while they're leaving the Peachy tribe, they hear this ruckus and whatnot. They find this, which turns out to be a woman with the dreads. She was being followed and shot at by these robots, and they took this thing out of her bag, which turned out to be aquanium. And they rescue her. They kind of gather her up, get her situated. She wakes up. It's nighttime. There's a fire. And she's like, yo, what's going on? They update her. She then breaks down how she's from, or I should say eventually breaks down how she's from Forest Land, how she needs to get that aquanium back because there was a coup in the government, and they obviously plan on using that for control and just to do what the Peachy tribe was thought to do and create this weapon of mass destruction. Turns out she's the daughter of the king. Her name's Anna, or Anna, however you pronounce it. And she is trying to get the kingdom back, rescue her father, all this good stuff. Muniel teams up with the main military dude they did the coup together, and his name is Bread. And with Muniel, he had convinced Bread and the people of Forest Land, obviously the military of Forest Land, that oh, the king is working with demons, and everybody is obviously scared of demons and just has this negative view on demons. So it's funny to see this role reversal, I guess, with angels kind of being the manipulators and the bad guys to humans, and demons just kind of doing their thing. They're just there, and I mean, we've seen them help humans, you know what I mean? And it's kind of funny because it relates to real world stuff where we look at demons and Satan as this bad thing, when in reality, like, Satan was in charge of the Garden of Eden. Like, it's just, I don't know, I'm not going to get into that. That's not what we're here for, but essentially, angels aren't the good guys. Obviously, the winners write or rewrite history, so yeah, no, I'm not gonna go there. But back to Sandland. So they're in Forest Land now. Like I said, Munio and Bread. Munio has convinced them that, oh, the king works with demons, and it turns out that that wasn't necessarily false, because the queen was a demon. She's the daughter of Lord Lucifer, which means she's Beelzebub's sister, and that means she is a demon. So she is the niece of Beelzebub, which is funny because they were butting heads. They were kind of like the same person. They had teamed up at one point to rescue the king from his execution, which turned out to be a robot. It was kind of just like a trap to lure them in and further prove their point of, oh, see, the king was working with demons, and look, she's a demon, because she had showed her demon powers when they're about to execute, or not really execute, I guess, but during that procession and whatnot. So the people just like fully turn on her and fully believe that demon narrative and whatnot. So, and I guess I should say this was a trap setup because they seen from like cameras or some spies or something that she was working with Rao and Thief and Beelzebub. When they got into Forest Land, they seen this, so they kind of set this stuff up. And then Rao and Thief went on their own. They went to steal the Aquanium back. Turns out it was a fake Aquanium. So then one of the main, so Anna is leading the resistance, I should have said, and is leading the resistance against the new government that did the coup and took over. And the leader of this resistance is not her. She didn't want to be the leader, but is essentially was the right-hand man to the king, so he knew everything. He then told the story about how Lilith, which is the queen, she was captured by Munio in one of these, or that urn, and he breaks it down. It was essentially an accident. So Munio comes to the queen with Commander Bread or Officer Bread, and he says, calls her demon, whatever, and then she just turns up, slaps him. The urn falls out of his satchel, the lid falls off, and right before she's about to like just beat him up, or worse, who knows, they kind of lead it to the point where you think like, oh, she's gonna kill him, or at the very least just like demolish things. She walks in front of the urn, the eye opens, captures her into the urn because the lid's not on, and Munio's like, see, that's why you don't play with angels, blah blah, this and that, kind of taking credit, but you see that it was an accident and that wasn't his doing. He was about to get beat, everybody was about to get beat up by Lilith. And so after they hear this story, Beelzebub has this feeling like, oh, I gotta go tell my dad about this. We gotta go. Who knows what they're planning next. So on their way to go to Lord Lucifer, it cuts to Lord Lucifer, and then Munio and Bread are confronting him. And long story short, I mean, it's not that long of a story, but he gets captured in the urn too. And that's kind of the end of season 1. So it leaves you on the cliffhanger. I thought that was really dope. That played a role into my rating of the season. Just kind of makes you want more. So Sandland, great series so far. It was a great first season. Definitely makes me for sure want to get the game and play the game. I'm sure the game doesn't go past this. Maybe we'll get add-ons and stuff, but hopefully don't have to wait too long for season 2. I haven't even looked in to see if it was renewed or there are any murmurs of when it might possibly come out. But yeah, that was breakdown of Sandland season 1. Like I said, 2 arcs. We don't get a finish to the second arc, but it's definitely a great lead up to season 2. So definitely be sure to go check that out. Like I said, it is rated PG, so take it for that. I wasn't basing my rating off of overall general animes. If I would have did that, probably wouldn't have been an 8.5. But even without the killing, even without blood, it was still a great series, and it's something you can watch with your kids. I kind of think it should be PG-13, I'm not gonna lie. They are cussing, there are some sexual innuendos. They call a woman sexy and stuff like that, so I don't know how young of a kid you would want to watch this and watch it with, but I mean, hey, it's up to you. That'll do it for our weekly anime episode. We'll be back Friday, 100%. Sorry this video was late if you were waiting. But yeah, that'll be all. Peace, y'all.